protecting the environment, improving the quality of drinking water and air, raising the environmental awareness of citizens, and adaptation of Ukrainian legislation on environmental issues to European standards, the main purposes of the environment reform. It is possible that Ukraine's population could decrease by 4 million people by the year 2050. Therefore, government officials and environmentalists believe that reform of environmental protection is one of the priority reforms of the country. Unfortunately, we have inherited from the Soviet Union a grave economic situation, a unmodernized industry that pollutes the environment and affects not only the nature but also our lives. It affects our lifetime. Today, natural resources are used very efficiently. It affects the economic welfare of Ukraine, experts note. This is going on primarily due to the neglect of the environment, corruption schemes, and the lack of financial mechanisms. In order to build a European system, we have to conduct depth study of the causes and consequences, particularly of the corruption, but not just writing regulations. We must build a system of balances, control and supervision in this area so that they will be balanced and restrained against one another. This requires the creation of a number of think tanks in the field of the environment. In 2016, the Ukrainian parliament approved two key environmental draft laws, namely the draft law on environmental impact assessments and the draft law on strategic environmental assessment. These laws provide the evaluation of environmental impact by any activity to prevent damage to the environment, environmental security and natural resources. On October the 31st, 2016, the President of Ukraine vetoed and returned the laws to Parliament for revision, but providing the legal framework is not enough. We need to start from the consciousness of Ukrainians, experts say.
Якщо не буде високої екологічної свідомості в усіх верств населення, якщо не буде соціальної
відповідальності. If all the segments of the population will not have environmental awareness and social responsibility, I mean the small and medium businesses, then all the efforts of the Ministry of Ecology and professional environmental advocacy organizations will be in vain.
Правозахисних організацій цю реформу з місця ми не здвинемо.
The process of harmonization and adaptation of Ukrainian environmental legislation, environmental standards and requirements must comply with European directives. The main instrument in this regard is the association agreement ratified by Ukraine together with the EU. After the 2014 Euromaidan revolution, it became one of the biggest gains of Ukrainian society. We are working on standards, environmental assessment and strategy formation of environmental policy. We develop appropriate laws. To date, these laws are discussed in the Ukrainian parliament. I'm convinced that in 2017 we will move to the new rules, the rules adopted in the Western civilized world and especially in the EU. The quality of drinking water and air is extremely important. Human life depends on these factors, as well as the biosphere of Ukraine. Another huge problem of Ukrainian ecology is the number of landfills. Experts fear that the landfills could cause an ecological catastrophe in the country. According to official data, more than 200 large industrial landfills are located in Ukraine.
Ми повинні мінімізовувати забруднення води, атмосферного повітря. Кожен забруднювач.
We need to minimize pollution of water and air. Each polluter which has a negative impact on nature must accordingly bear financial losses. The incentive to produce technologies to reduce emissions has to be provided.
Технології для зменшення викидів в атмосферу.
Given the situation that is going on in the environment, Ukrainians must learn to save those eco-resources which exist in the country at the moment. First, we need to develop modern technologies and begin reformation by the principle, if not to multiply, at least do not harm the environment, says ecologist Yaroslav Movchan. Issues relating to nature and environmental pollution are not discussed. Any activity has not the right to harm the environment. We can change technologies, change the project, and we can go abroad. But in the situation which is happening in our country, in the Donbass region, as well as at the Chernobyl situation, such pollution of the environment does not give us the right to increase the risks. Environmental reform is being done in collaboration with both the state and society. Changes in the legislation, of course, are very important and they are essential for the country. Environmental laws have to be created for the benefit of nature and the environment and must comply with European standards. And yet, no matter how perfect these laws will be, the changes must begin with the environmental consciousness of Ukrainian citizens.